Welcome on our Cybersecurity Architect course, and our aim is to prepare for SC-100 exam that I will tell you more about in a few seconds. We will be having 9 sessions around cybersecurity and skills outline from Microsoft. So don't worry, you have like lots of time to prepare, but this is still a very important exam. So this is like expert level exam, so you need to be very prepared with huge knowledge. Okay, so we will start with introduction. I will stop screen sharing for a while, so for you to be able to see Maciek as well. Maciek, would you like to introduce yourself, maybe?
Oh, maybe some short introduction. In this business, I think I'm 15 years currently, and currently my role is a solution architect. So I work with the many enterprise companies, and one of my point of interest is the security as well. So this is why we are here.
So my name is Agnieszka. I'm usually do some community initiatives with Maciek, so that's a normal thing for me. I'm working for a company which provides green electricity in rural parts of Africa, and yeah, I have as well as lots of years of experience. I don't remember how many, so I won't be saying much about this. However, I like you to know and encourage you, we are part of Microsoft Azure User Group Poland when we have technical discussions and lots of initiatives. So if you like to, feel free to Google it and join us and subscribe to some of our events because they are happening regularly. Okay, that should be fine now. So as I told you, we are preparing for Microsoft Cybersecurity Architect Exam. This exam is still in beta. It means that you can schedule the exam, but for now you don't have results shown immediately after exam. I don't know exact date when the exam will be published, but it will be for sure after 5th of May, hopefully just after. So during this time, you can start preparing yourself for exam, and if you like to pass it after our meetings. So we will have 9 meetings. Meetings are related with the skills outline that I will show you in a second. So we are meeting every Thursday on 8 p.m. CET time. So for your time zone, it's usually different hour than ours. It's pretty late, but so that's why we really appreciate that you're here. We also record this meeting, so we will be able to check them later on and hopefully recap something or Google more things if you will find that what we are providing here is not enough for you. Each session, it's some knowledge sharing part that I or Maciek will be providing some extra lectures. It will take 1 hour up to 1.5 hours. That's our expectations. And after each session, so every Thursday, we will have Q&A session that you can ask a question that you like to know about more. All information you can find on our LinkedIn profile, both on mine and Maciek, and probably that's the place you found this link for. So don't worry, don't worry, it will be putting lots of details there, and also you can ask us questions or clarify things. We are very happy to help you. Yep, that's not the page. Okay, that's the one. So Microsoft Cybersecurity Architect Exam, it's expert level exam, so it means it's very hard. It's even harder than other expert level exams, at least from my personal point of view. And it's like when you want to pass this exam, probably you should have lots of knowledge about cybersecurity. It's not only related to Azure, it's also related to a broad range of Microsoft technologies and also how to connect them with different cloud providers, for example, AWS or GCP. So that's the thing you should know. And if you're new to exams for Microsoft, maybe that's the picture will not tell any like much details for you. So when you are passing Microsoft exams, you can earn certifications. Depending on certifications, sometimes it requires 1 or 2 or more exam to pass. So we are approaching Microsoft Security Architect Exam, which is like second in this path. As you can see, like we should start with one of the exams that you have listed on the left. So Security Operations Analyst Associate, or Identity and Access Administrator Associate, or Azure Security Engineer Associate, or Microsoft 365 Certified Security Administrator Associate. So if you will pass one of these 4, and the exam that we are preparing right now, so Cybersecurity Architect, you will earn certification which is called Cybersecurity Architect Expert. What is important? It's not the order of taking these exams to gain certification is not very important. So you can first start with Microsoft Cybersecurity Architect exam and then pass one of these exams on the left, and you will be the same qualified for certification as you are doing it like normal way, starting with one of these 4 and then passing Cybersecurity Architect exam. So I will stop for a second on the exam before I show you the skills that are listed there. What you can expect during the exam? First, it's not only about cybersecurity. It's the exam is about putting cybersecurity on top of general Azure and, let's say, Microsoft knowledge. So if you are not very familiar with things like web apps, how to handle virtual machines, network security groups, application security groups, what Microsoft, what Azure Firewall does, etc. That's why I recommend to take this previous path, which is designing Microsoft Azure Infrastructure Solution exam, which introduce you briefly to lots of this infrastructure concept in Azure, and also maybe some of the exam as well around Microsoft 365. So I will show you right now and come to outline. So the outline for Microsoft exam, it's usually at the same place, like you have information about the exam. Then we have skills measure, and when we click here, then you will be shown with a PDF file. And in each of these PDF files, we have skills that are measured during the exam. So here we have 4 main categories. First one is called Design a Zero Trust Strategy and Architecture. And as you can see, you may expect from 30 to 35% of questions from it. And our sessions that we prepared are related with these subcategories. So today we are going to talk about building an overall security strategy and architecture. Next week, Maciek will introduce you to design security operations strategy, and so on and so on. It's 9 of them. We also will be talking about identity and security for identity. Lots of compliance strategies and how what can you use from Microsoft, Azure, to check them and how to implement them. Then we have beautiful topic about security posture and recommended strategies. And more things about infrastructure, like securing servant client endpoints, everything about securing SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. And the last one is data and applications, when we are just checking how to secure applications and data itself. What I want to say about this exam is that, give me a second. Okay. So each session will introduce to you some topic, and based on this topic, you need to add general Azure, Microsoft knowledge, and also other topics from other places. So we have 9 categories and 9 sessions, but you may expect on the exam that you will be introduced to some concept. That, for example, you have Azure, which is connected with AWS and on-premises environment, and have specific questions how to secure this kind of setup. So all of these things will be mixed together a little bit. That's why it makes this exam pretty hard. So I will stop for a second. Do you have any questions about exam itself and what the course it stands for? If so, please raise your hand, like virtual hand on Microsoft Teams, and we'll be answering those. Okay, so let's move further then. So today's session is this first point that I introduced to you. So these are basic concepts, to be honest, about cybersecurity. So lots of things that I will tell you today will have their continuation on other sessions. We are going to talk a little bit about security governance and what it means, how we can translate business needs and security, how this can work together, because usually it's not working well. Then we will talk a little bit about what it means to have resilient cybersecurity architecture, and why it's not so easy to achieve. Then I will introduce you to really basics of Zero Trust, and the rest of going deeper into this topic will be touched on other sessions. Then quick thinking about hybrid and multi-cloud security responsibilities and how this all copes together. Few words about network segmentation, and the most beautiful slide you will ever see today. It's about Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architectures, and I really hope that you will love this slide as much as I loved it when I saw it first time. So yeah, I'm not going nicely with presentation today, sorry for that. So why do we even want to talk about cybersecurity and what it means, what cybersecurity really means? We know that we want to protect systems, we want to protect networks, we want to protect everything, programs, devices, data, etc., from cyber attacks. So that's pretty clear. When we are going into the details, the problem arises because the cost of cybersecurity breaches is rising. So this is very good business for attackers to attack us. And we see that attacks are getting harder and harder. They are more sophisticated. So our basic the things we done like, I don't know, 5 years ago, they are not working anymore because attacks changed. They are not so easy as they were like 5 years ago. We also see that it can really break our businesses, our companies, enterprises, and it's a very huge issue. It's very broad. And as I told you previously, it's a huge business, to be honest, when we have attackers who want to grab money from us. So this is quite a new topic in the meaning of, like, we started talking about it recently, but it's not the thing that it was not existing 10 years back. So please remember, this is like a growing thing. It will never end. It's huge. So there will be nobody probably who knows cybersecurity in 100%. Don't be scared of the huge amount of knowledge, and be prepared to learn always and forever. When we are thinking how we can protect our business, our company, we should remember about this diagram. So this diagram, it's called security governance, and it comes from Microsoft documentation, and it comes from Cloud Adoption Framework. I hope you heard about CAF before. So it means how we can bridge business priorities and technical implementation. So on the top of this diagram, you see that we have business goals and the different risks, what is important for company, what is critical. And these things always should help us prioritize things and provide direction for security. So it's not only about security for security, it's also where we can put our efforts to protect the most critical functions of our businesses. So we want to grow with our security solutions. We want to improve. And first step to be there is architecture and policies. So usually, especially when we were working on on-premises environments, we have lots of different security approaches, different security things that we want to include on our on-premises data center. And that's the big problem, because we have so many things that they are hard to maintain. Even if solutions are great, it's hard for people to take care of them. So we need to think about not only on-premises environment, but when we are coming to the cloud, we need to gather all this information in one place. And all policies and rules that are we are having in our companies, they should be unified across every single technical space, which is like on-premises, Azure, multi-cloud, etc. So it's not only a thing to know that we have problem with security and monitoring the problem, it's also about the action. So first, we need to know, that's true, continuous discovery of asset and asset types. In the data centers, on-premises data centers, it's usually when we are buying some server, it takes time. And we usually spend lots of money for this, and it took time to get this physical server to our company and install it, etc. With cloud, it's different. With cloud, we can create multiple virtual machines. Everybody can do it just like that in, I don't know, 5 minutes maximum. So it's hard to remember about everything here. So that's why it's so important to discover all assets and asset types always, continuously, not discover once and forget. When we have the list of our assets, it's nice to improve our practices, introduce policies, and remember that with security, we need to improve. It's not only a one-time job, it's the job that will last forever, because attacks and different types of assets are always changing. So that's the thing we need to remember about. And last thing is we need to create new policies, and also apply them. And not only for new assets, but also backwards for old assets as well. We don't want to apply them and make a critical problem for our enterprise because some things just stopped working. We need to do it nicely, and we need to have plan and process for it. And the base of all of this is compliance and reporting. So we need to know what do we want to achieve, and we need to have reports about that, where we are at this journey to be in better place. So when we are thinking about this, let's talk about security guidance that Microsoft gives us. So first, we need to know, like all business leadership, that security is important. And the most important people usually are CEO and CSO, so Chief Information Officer, and Chief Information Security Officer, sorry. And for these people, usually the most important thing that Microsoft provides, which would be nice to grab, is Cloud Adoption Framework. Then when we are going a little bit lower and we have some kind of business needs transferred into security, then we are start thinking about security strategy. And we are start going into security architecture. Then we create policies. Here you can find architects, technical managers, and depending on different organizations, different titles of people, positions of people. But most important thing to know about it is you should use Microsoft cybersecurity reference architectures that are changing quite often. And inside these architectures, you'll find new ways of approaching security challenges. And also there are lots of documentation. There is Azure Security Benchmark that we will introduce in 5th session probably. There are also Zero Trust, Privileged Access, Azure Top 10, like Top 10 OWASP rules, and lots of documentation and well-architected framework for Azure itself. So when you are thinking about strategy for cybersecurity in your organization, it's more about people, less about beautiful boxes that copes together. And the main thing we need to know about security, it's some time ago we thought that security is hard. We were right, but it was so much easier than it's right now. Before the cloud just came everywhere, we had our own data centers, we had our own computers, machines that we provide for our employees. Everybody were like working in the same virtual network. Everybody was happy. There was no cloud. So to be honest, there was only one place that we should protect. So we tried to protect network for people who shouldn't be in our network, just not to be there. And that was limited to networks that we controlled. So on-premises networks, there was no cloud at that time. And all attacks at that time were network-based. However, we have cloud. We have platform as a service, applications. We have lots of things, and lots of things change as well for us. So right now there are like lots of people who are using, I don't know, Microsoft Teams or other PaaS services at daily basis. We are also joining our secure items, assets from our personal devices like phones, tablets. They are not bought by your enterprise and given to you. They are just your own. Nobody cares what is their security from the company. And to be honest, lots of people don't care at all about security of their devices. So being at this place, we had to introduce new perimeter, which is identity perimeter. So we want to protect more than just network. We want to protect access to our components, to our assets. And it applies to all assets, not only this inside our network. So we try to change the name what inside means. Inside right now means that we are authenticated, authorized inside our identity perimeter, and not really inside our VNet all the time. So attackers shift to identity attacks, phishing or credential theft. It's not so often that we have these days network attacks. So it's quite important to educate also people what it means to keep safe their security credentials and how identity really works. However, there are lots of things that we can do on other side as well. So before we just go inside cybersecurity at all, let's think about why somebody wants to attack us at any point. It's all about money that you have on the top here, money or the mission. So if we are enterprise, business enterprise, usually we care about money. And usually criminal enterprises, so group of people who also care about money, want to attack us. When we have less money or care less about money, we usually have governments, and governments like to fight other governments for money, for mission, for different things. I'm not going inside there, but the most scary for me, at least, it's who is attacking non-profit companies. Usually, people we can call hacktivists. So they think that this non-profit company is not doing good; they are doing harm, and they want to fight each other. The difference between this type of attackers is that if attackers want to grab some money, they usually, it's not a single person. They are like real companies trying to attack different companies. So they will be attacking our company in the very systematic way, the way that with a plan, and we need to protect ourselves with plan as well. However, on the other side, we have activists. Usually it's one person, maybe or two people. Maybe they don't have money, but they will be fighting till the end because they have mission. And depending who is attacking us, the approach we should take is a little bit different. Because if somebody has lots of money, they will be going with this attack for a long time. However, on the other side, if somebody has no money, that will be crazy attack with no plan and no process. So this is not only about one type of attack that somebody wants to grab money from us. Sometimes it's not only about money. So how we can stop them, or how we want to make their life harder? So we want to ruin their return on investment. We are invest security budget, we are invest some team time, we are invest some resources, and as return, we can deter attack or slow or stop at all. So how it's working? So if they will be hard for them to monetize, so that will be hard for them if they steal something from us to get money out of it. So if they steal some not very important information, nobody will pay for it. So maybe it's not worth to do it. And also it's about costs. So if we have multiple layers of defense, that will be very huge and long journey for attackers to grab successfully the things they are looking for. And we need to remember that usually in company, we don't have full visibility about our security and about all our assets. It's very hard. It's easier with cloud, but still we have some gaps. But people who are attacking us, they don't know as much about our infrastructure and our security solutions as we do. So they will be going blindly. So at some point, if going blindly will let them grab nothing, that will be our success. Our success is not only that they didn't steal anything, but also that they gave up in the middle, or they just checked that, oh, that will be hard and painful, so maybe let's choose another company. And that leads to key challenges and strategic opportunities nowadays. So as I told you on identity perimeter, like identity-based attacks are up to 300% right now. So they are most popular attacks right now. We can adopt identity-based protection. We'll be talking about this more on identitization. Our most attractive target is information, and we need to know where our information goes. We need to protect them at as many ways we can. Attackers constantly evolving techniques. It's very hard to keep on keep up to speed with all of this, but we need to somehow find a way to keep and detect attacks faster, automate response, and be just better with every single thing that we are facing in cybersecurity. And that's what I said as well. So most enterprises report using more than 60 security solutions, which is huge, and nobody can maintain it just like that. So maybe it's worth using standardized type tools or the tools that will grab lots of signals to one place. Okay, so how to measure success in cybersecurity? Don't ask yourself these questions because you will be sad. Did we have a breach? Yep, probably we will have. We assume that we will have breach at some point. Have we passed audit? That's the second favorite question in cybersecurity. Usually it's not, but nobody says that it's better than it was before. To be honest, to measure our cybersecurity success, we should answer these questions like, have we detected the breach? So it's detect step. Have we protected most critical assets? Protect. And did our response to attack was correct? So detect, protect, and response. Let's talk about business resilience. So how to become resilient with cybersecurity attacks? Before incidents, we need to do everything for attackers to ruin their return on investment, to help limit. We want to limit security incidents by making it harder or more cost-effective for people who want to attack us. And we also want to limit business impact. So first, we want to think about most critical business resources. And if somebody will steal something which is very important, to be honest, we will take action, but it won't be a huge disaster. But if somebody will steal something very, very, very important, that will be a big thing. So when we have incident, first, what we need to know is that we are under attack. So we need to have some monitoring tools that will help us. Okay, something weird is going on here. If we know that we are under attack, we should act on active attack. When we are under attack, it's not the best timing for figuring out what to do. So usually it's worth creating some processes before that. So if we have attack and the attack looks this way or that way, okay, we know that we need to do this or that. And we need to prioritize continuity for critical resources, critical operations for the business perspective. So first, we are touching the most important things. Later, less important till the moment that attack stops, or we just spend lots of our time and energy on the most important things. After incident, we need to first restore business operations. So everything that is not working after attack, we need to tackle, and then learn from it, make changes, add some extra security steps, and again, maybe not wait for another incident, but proactively learn and secure other places, things, etc. So with cyber resiliency, we need to align ourselves with business, and you can split it into 3 categories. First, it's mindset. We need to assume that we will have breach. We need to assume compromise. And what we need to understand, it's not like we try not to have a breach. It's try to raise attacker cost. It's try to do everything we could for attackers not to be very happy to attack us and just give up before they will even start. And when we have attack, we need to focus on quick response and recovery out of the attack. With cloud, we can use cloud to gather all information in one place and monitor and act on the signals that we are getting. We can also get advantage of all knowledge about cybersecurity that it's happening on our community, and we can learn from it and add new things, accelerate innovation, work together to improve cybersecurity strategy. And the last one, which seems the easiest one and is the hardest one, to be honest, it's hygiene. So we need to identify well-known risks. Like we need to patch our virtual machines. We need to update things that are we know that are not secure, and we need to burn this list down. And that's the hardest piece. Even if we know that, oh, this servers are just they are running on old, for example, operation system, which has lots of security holes, we need to patch them, we need to update them, we need to do something with them. Microsoft prepare beautiful plan for hygiene. It looks this way. So there are like lots of recommendations divided by days. So first, in first 30 days, we need to create proper backups that are destruction resilient. We need to deploy critical security updates to our operating systems and other places like emails, browsers, etc. If we cannot do it, we just want to retire these computers. We also want to implement advanced protections for our emails and browsers because they are used mostly by our employees. And we would like to have real-time blocking responses from the cloud when we have some kind of breach, and implement unique local administrator passwords. We don't want our administrators to have password 12345 for most critical, for example, virtual machines. And to be honest, they should be unique as well, not having like somebody has stolen one password for one administrator and can remove all or steal everything. That's why we also think about privileged accounts, that they should be first separated from the rest and protected more. So the more you can do with your account, the more privileged it is, especially administrator accounts. Later, we can take care of validating backups, discovering and reducing like broad permissions on file repositories, deploying critical security updates, and disabled unneeded legacy protocols. Like we can have lots of legacy usually on our enterprises, so they are using weird things. And we should stay current in the meaning that we would like to run on the newest version of operating systems because usually they are better, not having many security holes. They are supported as well. So how we can do it? What can help us with all of this? It's changing of thinking about cybersecurity. And here we can introduce Zero Trust, which Zero Trust understands that security is not only network anymore. So there are like lots of other things and network that we need to secure. So we have three major Zero Trust principles. So we need to first verify explicitly, apply least privileged access, and assume breach. Verify explicitly is we just want to be sure that the person who is saying, oh, I'm Agnieszka, it's really Agnieszka, not some, I don't know, Maciek who is saying he's Agnieszka. We don't want everybody to have highest permission. So least privileged access means that we don't have so much permissions. We just have enough value, enough level of permissions. And assume breach we already touched. So with all of these three principles, we talked that we are not talking about network anymore. We are talking about multiple layers. To be specific, 6 layers that we'll show you on the next slide. And if we think across these layers, we want from these layers to grab signals to be able to make some decisions. Then when we have signal, we can make decision, but the decision needs to be made based on our policies in our enterprises. And then if we have decision, we want to enforce it, but not in the way that we are blocking everything, just in the way that we want to first introduce this usually in steps like, oh, that's not secure, probably you should change the way you are approaching this, till the moment we are blocking something which is very unsecure. So about layers, all these three principles we want to apply for identity, which is first layer, our endpoints, applications, network, infrastructure, and then data. So if you match this correctly, that will be all our sessions that we introduce you during this course. So I'm not going into details right now, but please remember that we want to check all of this on all stages. We can also combine them to find the best result. Especially, we need to use Zero Trust, or should use Zero Trust, when we have hybrid and multi-cloud environments. So we can have code on on-premises environment. We can have our infrastructure. We can have infrastructure on Azure, but also we can have infrastructure of other cloud providers like AWS, GCP, etc. So we can have mix of this. We can have Azure with other cloud provider. We can have Azure with on-premises. We can have on-premises Azure and some other cloud provider at the same time. What Microsoft suggests is using Microsoft Defender for Cloud and to gather all signals from all places and have all of this in one place that you can monitor. You can apply policies there and do lots of other magic as well that we are not touching right now. So if you have on-premises environment, you can connect on-premises machines to Azure and Microsoft Defender for Cloud with Azure Arc enabled servers. when you have Azure, you have like lots of things you can use also in Azure. For example, you can integrate Defender with SIEM, SOAR, and ITSM solutions. And for multi-cloud, you can integrate AWS Security Hub with Microsoft Defender, or you can integrate GCP for Security Commander for GCP, also with Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Going for a second for the exam questions, you can expect that you will have setup of, for example, your on-premises virtual machine has database installed on it, and you can, I don't know, on Azure, for example, you have web application that uses data from this database on premises, and how you can secure this and how you can monitor it secure enough. So let's think about security on premises and when we have cloud. So on the left side, you have traditional approach, which means on premises here. So usually we have lots of gaps. So white boxes. We have lots of places that we have satisfied responsibility and it's secure and we are aware of this. There are some spots that we are partially happy that they're secure enough, but not 100% sure. With cloud, lots of this responsibilities are based on the provider. So trust, but verify your provider. If you like to go and schedule a session, go to data center, for example, for Azure or other cloud provider, check how it looks like, what security they are handling for the infrastructure, etc. And then when you will verify this trust and believe that these light blue boxes are just fine, there are also spaces that because of, for example, Microsoft Defender for Cloud, you have more visibility of different things. For example, on premises, maybe there is some servers standing somewhere, but with Microsoft Defender for Cloud, if you scan for all virtual machines, for example, or all machines on your on-premises environment, you will get the answer for everything. So it's worth to use it. And we also have some machine learning tools that helps to handle it. And of course, some places that we and identity provider, we need to take care to secure. So how this responsibility is shared between us and identity provider? So if we have only on-premises environment, we are responsible for everything. So that's dark blue boxes. But if we are using cloud provider, all physical infrastructure, data center, network, host, cables, etc., doors, servers are handled by provider. And later on, depending if we are talking about SaaS, PaaS, or IaaS, so this responsibility is changing. So all patches for example, for virtual machines on operation systems are on us if we are on IaaS. But to be honest, it's changing when we are using SaaS or PaaS. It depends also. So in most places, we have shared responsibility. However, our identity, devices, and our data is always on us. So we need to understand what we have on our side. Some applications or operating systems are the things that we can share with our provider. So it's worth remember that this is not only about what we know, it's also about what, for example, Microsoft does at the same time and how we are cooperating together. Okay, so this is like one of the main concepts about network that we want to introduce with this session. So we want to make small pieces of our network because if we have small pieces, small segments, we can control traffic that is coming from and to those segments. We can secure this communication. And also, when we have one segment which is compromised and under attack, we can cut it off. And this way, we can prevent other segments from being attacked as well and contain the impact of the attack itself. So this is not physical thing, it's more software-based thing. And in Azure, we can do it by multiple things. First, we have subscriptions. They are logical isolation for environments. We have virtual networks, which are pretty isolated to each other and quite secure environments. Later, we can use network security groups, application security groups, Azure Firewall. If you are not familiar with all of this and what possibilities you can use from those, that's my really good advice. Just learn it before the exam because lots of questions are related with that. So if you know things, it's good to know in which case you should use what. So if you don't need to operate in multiple regions, use single VNet. But if you need to operate in multiple regions, probably using multiple VNets with peering will be a good idea. We also have differentiates between network security group, application security group, and Azure Firewall. So to secure communication between resources within VNet, we are using network security groups. To define traffic rules for VMs, we probably should use application security groups. And to filter traffic flowing between cloud resources and internet on premises, just Azure Firewall. You can expect questions around how to secure, for example, Azure and communication between Azure and AWS. So it's good to understand this concept. So first pattern is single VNet. So if you have one Azure region, you can just have one VNet. So that will be very quick demo for today. If you have your Azure portal, you can create your virtual network. Let's create virtual network resource group. Let's create it in Central US region. We have one default subnet, but we also can add other subnets. Let's add for example, we can use databases in this subnet and add some space here. It should probably match. When we create this virtual network, validation failed. So first, probably it's worth creating this resource group. So let's go back for a second. So we created virtual network. We created one default subnet we can use for our web servers. And we also can have database servers in second subnet that I just created. So for both subnets, we can use network security group for communication, for checking communication from security point of view. Okay, we have our VNet. So How to check how it looks like right now? We can go to Network Watcher, and in topology, we can select our virtual network, and it will show that we have virtual network with two resource groups. One is called default, one is called databases. So when we add a network security group to our VNet, we can add it in our virtual network resource group, name network security group for example, databases, and create this. It should take not much time, to be honest. A little. That's my time that I can say something more. So, okay. So in presentation, so we can match these things with subnets and logically separate this inside virtual network. We can put network security groups on top of other resources that we can have in the subnet. So to do this, okay, we are in a network security group that we created. We can associate this network security group with our beautiful database subnet in our virtual network, which is called databases. So if you have big infrastructure, that will be shown on the topology diagram as well. So you can always go there and check in Network Watcher, find topology, find your resource group, for example, and check what subnet have some security, what subnet not. You won't be shown here all Azure resources, but you will be able to see virtual machines and scale sets as well. So it's very useful tool. And a second. So that's first pattern with single VNet, one region, single VNet. If we have multiple regions, probably it's worth to have multiple virtual networks. So virtual network first, second, and third. They are in different regions, but we can use peering between VNets, which is pretty nice and quick. I have prepared before second VNet, so we created virtual network. I prepared peering network, so we can cope them together. So we just select one of the networks, go to peerings, and add peering. With add peering, we need to have name. So let's name it nicely from A to B to see how it works. And that's our name for this peering. So from other side, it will be from P to A. So opposite side, you should use better naming convention, and this is also compliance. So please remember about this. And we can choose that we want to our virtual network peer with our peering network, which I created before. And you will see that we have peering, and which has status connected. So probably if we will do quickly checking IP addresses from one network to another, from one VNet to another, we should have communication, which is not very straightforward on both cases. So if you don't know how peering between networks works, probably please read some docs before taking your exam. And last pattern that I'm not going to show you, unfortunately, it's if your infrastructure is even more complicated, use hub and spoke model. So we have hubs who are having connection to all their VNets in their regions, and they are talking to each other. So I cannot talk directly from this VNet to this one, but all communication is coming from some VNet, from resource from VNet via hub to another hub and to specific resource in other VNet. It's usually used with connected with on-premises environments as well. So with more complicated things, we probably should use it this way. So that's my favorite slide in a second. I introduce you to some concepts about cybersecurity in very basics, and we'll be extending this on other sessions. But if you like to go and check what exactly Microsoft has right now for you to secure your enterprise, Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architectures page documentation is the best place. It holds one presentation file in PowerPoint, and the most important thing, the most important slide there is this one. When I saw it first time, it was like, oh, how to handle it, how to touch this, and how to read it. That's why I will quickly go and try to separate these things. What is important, there are like lots of lines on the slide, and these lines are important. So how all of this copes together and how it, how, for example, conditional access, it's related, conditional access is here, it's starting from Azure Active Directory and ends on endpoints and devices. So I downloaded this PDF presentation file, sorry, and if you will download it from documentation from Microsoft, you will get a slide which is called 10 here, and this is like real slide that is interactive. All these links here are also interactive, so feel free, like, oh, I don't know what is Azure AD B2C, so I will just click here. So feel free to download this and click through it and try to understand it piece by piece. So, okay, so let's start. Here you have the most basic places when you can find information about cybersecurity. So it's like security documentation, Microsoft best practices for security, top 10 OWASP, Azure benchmark, which we introduce later on, cloud adoption framework, and well-architected framework. So first thing you need to know is we started with on-premises environments some time ago. We have intranet, extranet, everybody were happy because it was protected by some network, and that's all. Sorry. Later on, we had cloud, we had many devices, people start using phones, start different operation systems, and we had many devices that we need to handle. For security, a Microsoft recommendation is to use the latest operating systems because they have many security additions of comparing to the previous version of Windows. But you can also use other devices for this. And to secure all of this, you need to have Active Directory to know who is using those. Later on, we started having lots of SaaS services. Microsoft 365, Dropbox, we have Google Drive and lots of this. So it's good to have implemented Azure Active Directory, connect them with Active Directory itself. And what is important in Azure Active Directory, we can go, for example, passwordless. We can enforce multi-factor authentication. We have identity protection that helps us out. We can grab lots of accounts from our business partners from other Active Directory, from, for example, other company, or we can introduce Azure B2C when we can grab our customers' details. For example, we can authenticate our customers with Facebook or Gmail credentials. So, having this in mind, we can have rules. So if you're using, for example, if you are an employee from my company and you are using the laptop I provided to you, you can just log in with your login password. But if you are, for example, using your own device, example phone, and you are in a weird place because usually you are working from, let's say, UK, and this time you are in few seconds, sometimes you're logging in from UK and sometimes you're logging from Japan. So that's impossible for a real person to do it in a short period of time. So probably we'll ask you to provide some multi-factor authentication. We'll send you some text message, or we can use passwordless thing with Hello for Business application. So to extend this, we want to use also Azure Active Directory into our on-premises machines, and also for third-party providers, other cloud providers like AWS, GCP, for all different services that you can use also from Azure Marketplace. And we want to change a little bit the way we are communicating between cloud and on-premises environments. So we can use Express Route, which is like private type of connecting on-premises to Azure. We can use private links or introduce service endpoints. That all of this will just add our security, improve our security between cloud and on-premises. So if we have on-premises, if we have a multi-cloud approach, hybrid, we can use Defender for Cloud. We already talked about this. On Defender for Cloud, you will get secure score that will put your points that you're winning your security or not yet. And lots of compliance dashboards. We can use power of Azure Firewall or Azure WAF, and you can connect your local machines with Azure Arc and grab some insights from Azure Lighthouse. That's the things you should be aware of. And also IoT devices. Extend this to IoT devices. We have Microsoft Defender for IoT. We have Azure Sphere. That's the thing you should be aware of. So security operations. We have Microsoft Defender for cloud. We have Microsoft Defender for Microsoft 365. We also have Microsoft Sentinel that provides us Symmetro and can nicely cope with Microsoft Defender for cloud. That will be later on next week. Maciek will introduce you to that concept. And that's really interesting. We can also take advantage of GitHub Advanced Security for development and our web applications. And we should really, with all of this, secure our administrator access. So we should have privileged access workstations, so computers that our administrators are using only for accessing infrastructure. They are not using it, for example, for emails or for web. It is forbidden. And also their accounts should be separated for doing infrastructure stuff, comparing, for example, to doing everyday stuff. And on top of that, we have information protection. So we need to know how our data is going. We need to monitor, discover it. We have lots of scanners and Azure Purview, which is pretty new. And we are getting some scores, almost like a game, but they are like secure scores and things we should consider. So grabbing a very quick look with Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So on Azure, this is like pretty empty right now because we created only 2 virtual networks which are empty, and I created 1 storage account. But you can see that, okay, we have some resources on Azure, nothing on AWS, GCP. We can go there and you will get some, for example, recommendations. You will get your secure score and some things that you could do. For example, enable MFA for specific accounts. Okay, sorry for, I lost my presentation. Here it is. Okay, so that's lots of products and services that you should be aware of. They are not all of them. On previous slide, they are also not all of them, but they are the most important one. So Microsoft Defender for Cloud, there are like the Microsoft Defender for Identity or for Microsoft 365 Defender Portal. We have Microsoft Sentinel, Azure Sentinel, which helps us grab some more sophisticated information from our signals, and so on and so on. So all of this we'll be introducing you in next sessions about other things like endpoints, IoTs, identity, etc. But before the exam, it's good to know, do you know what it means and what it does and how it works? So I know that we are a little bit extended the time. So what we're talking about, that please remember, cybersecurity is very hard and you never will be perfect. And it's not about not having breach, because we assume we will have breach. And it's all about how we will protect our most meaningful things, not to lose the most important critical business data or elements in our systems. To help us to start, we have Zero Trust and Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architectures. I showed you only one slide, which is the most important from architectures, but there are like lots of slides there as well to help us out. Cyber hygiene is the hardest one, and we should take them as a first step probably to pay our technical debt on security. And network segmentation is very, very nice thing when we want to separate cybersecurity. We want to separate impact, and we separate segments of our resources, not to protect lots of those, not expose everything. So today was introduction session, how this session maps with our exam. So on these basic things, you need to add some knowledge about the security resources that I listed today. We'll be introducing you to some, but some basic things we will need to probably touch on your own. And also you need to put other sessions that will be adding up, because every question that you will face on the exam will be question that mix all of these things. Today's session, later sessions, and also basic knowledge about Azure, Microsoft 365, and other cloud providers. So next steps. Next steps are next meeting, which is next Thursday, and Maciek will show you some things around how to design security operations strategy. At the same time, the same day as Thursday. So we are more than happy to see you again on next week. I'm not sure, Maciek, if you want to say something.
No, I will be waiting for the next week meeting.
Okay. And now it's time for your questions. So I wasn't scrolling through chat. So if you already asked a question there, please ask it again. If you want to ask a question, raise your hand, like virtual hand on Microsoft Teams, please. Any questions?
I'm scrolling through the chat, but there is no questions. So maybe someone want to raise hand.
Okay, I have a question. You can answer on the chat as well if you like to. Why you are interested in cybersecurity, or why you're interested in this exam and preparation for it? So I'm happy to hear some voices that you are like real people, but I'm also happy to see them on the chat if you like to. Okay, I see somebody's typing.
Don't be shy.
In the meantime, Maciek, can you say something more about next session?
Oh, I see that we have one raised hand.
Alexander?
Yeah, hi. It was very interesting session. I signed up for this session because last year I passed the exam AZ-500 for the Azure Network Security, and I thought that it will be interesting to do the next part. It will help. This subject will help me do my new job that I started a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, awesome to hear that. So it's like next step from this path that I showed on the first day. Okay.
I see.
Next
More
hands,
questions.
I love it. Rajesh? You are on mute if you are talking.
Rajesh, you are muted, so we don't hear you.
Okay, let's wait for Rajesh. You can start talking.
Okay, so about next sessions, as you already mentioned, we will talk a little about Azure Sentinel, which is a, I think, quite interesting tool in Azure portfolio. And this is also quite new because this was introduced in the previous year. And we also go through some other topics related to security operations. Okay, one more.
I see that. Yeah, I see that Rajesh said that he cannot unmute, so we are waiting for you to type. I saw also that Robert wants to review his knowledge, and we have one more hand raised. Okay, I don't.
Contact CPC Cloud.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, sorry for my English. I am French, so yeah, the session was interesting, and hello from Quebec, Canada. Here it's in the middle of the journey, and me I'm interesting about this exam because I work on the Microsoft 365 on the Azure Virtual Desktop now for 5 and 6 years, and I see that most of customers have only MFA, and I see a customer have no MFA configuration. So I talk about all these customers, and I try to set up a zero trust configuration with a minimum with security and MFA, privilege, identity management, and things like that. And I take SC-300, so SC-300 with SC-100 give me the cybersecurity exam, and it looks good for the next years of my career. So thank you.
That's great to know. That's really nice to have you here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm audible, please.
Okay, go ahead.
You can talk.
Yeah, this is Rajesh from India, and very great session. So I'm very excited to do this SC-100 course. I have already done SC-900, MS-900, and MS-500. So really excited to do this course, and I will be attending all the sessions. So thank you for organizing this. And I am a security trainer. So I train all the security related modules. I'm a corporate security trainer, and very interested to do this SC-100 course also. Thank you for organizing this session. First of its kind session. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you for saying this. Happy to have you here as well.